Hello, YouTube. How you doing? For those tuning in not live, we're going to just give about a 5-minute wait. So you can skip to that. And while we're doing that, I'm just saying hello to everybody. So if you want to chill out for that too, that's cool. That's cool. I want to welcome you all here today. This one's going to be a touchy subject. Going to be a touchy one. It's going to be more theoretical than anything. So it's going to be theorizing the motives behind what we're seeing here in the aftermath of Jeff's, what I consider to be a confirmed, the confirmed passing of Jeff C. Virtual Asylum, you're a fellow Newfie. You from town? From town, or you Bayman? You Bayman? I got a feeling you're a townie, aren't you? You're a townie. You from the East End or the West End? And hello to Chi Girl. Oh, Gander. Oh, cool. Do you know any Dubs? My mom came from Grand Falls. Yes, I know what you mean. Gander. I had a few. I mean, it actually kind of sounds like when you say Gander. Gander's cool, man. Gander's cool. You know, it's a smaller place, but kind of like it out there. Okay, Glenwood. Yeah. I know what that is. I mean, I used to drive, like, you know, when I was a kid, we would drive to Grand Falls to see like our grandparents or whatever. So we always went through Gander because we had family in there as well, and we'd say hi. And I would always go to I think it was the Mary Brown's there I go to. You have a decent pizza place too. It's like on the corner of a strip mall or something like that. It's quite good. Maybe it was just Greco. I don't know. Yep. And hello to everybody just starting to come in there. If you guys don't mind, if you do appreciate what I do, if you could hit the like button just to get enough people in here so that the information could start to disseminate. Really appreciate it. Are you in Nova Scotia? You defected to our rival province? Are you kidding me? You know, I always appreciated the Scottish. They were smart enough to look at Newfoundland and say, no, I go now. Lily T, good to see you. Maverick Music, nice to see you. By the way, Music, are you a francophone? Into those, Anna Smith in here. Nah, not much to do in Newfoundland. That's for sure. And the weather is just awful. Awful. Although we're having a really good January. It's still green out there. And everyone on the news like climate change. So yeah. It's good to see you all. So we'll just give it another moment before we start up. I do have a lot to talk about today, so probably be about 2-hour cast. Yeah. Might try and get this a little bit maybe structure the comments, or sorry, structure the video a little bit more, because I noticed that I was like missing a lot of questions in the beginning last time. So I don't want to miss those on you. So for those right now, just let you know, probably hold off on any questions until like after I just get through like the bulk of the material here. I'll take a quick break, and then after that, I'd love to come around for some chat. Now, I don't mean to spam this, guys. I really don't. It really pains me to see it, but this stuff does need to get out in order for it to have an effect. I don't want a huge base of watchers, just enough so that the information can snowball elsewhere. And if you guys want to pick this up, you're more than welcome. Any content creators, don't worry, man. gaff my content to your heart's desire. I have no intention of monetizing this or anything like that. So you go right ahead and you share however you see fit, whether it's with my ugly mug or your own lovely mug talking about the stuff that's said here. But I do think that this will be important to theorize about, and I'll tell you why it's important to do so. I'll do one last call out before we start. Hi, Jewel Proverbs, good to see you. And everybody else in chat, I really appreciate you coming by. All right, so I'm going to start with a little bit of a preamble. First off, I want to truly thank everybody that has been helping out, because I know that it's been a 5-year hiatus, and there's probably a lot of stuff that I'm missing, you know. And well, there is, and there certainly was even more. And thanks to you guys, makes it a lot easier to be able to see the bigger picture when I'm getting all the info that you have been sending via email, straight to me in the bunker chat and elsewhere. I'm not trying to point. I'm not trying to say that, like, you know, one person is doing more than the other or anything like that. I'm not. But I do want to give a special shout out to Chai Girl and Anna Smith. You guys have been really, really helpful in helping pushing out the material. Even when I'm trying to gather my thoughts and everything like that and making those calls, things like that. You guys, you knew the right questions to ask. And I know that there's a whole bunch of other people, and I'm just going to leave it there because I see those two in chat. But there have been a whole bunch of other people that have been invaluable to this, I guess, quote unquote, investigation. And without it, it couldn't have been done without you. And I really appreciate what you've done. And going from there, you should totally realize the leaders that you are of your own selves, the abilities that you have to research, to be able to ask these questions. I think you should be really proud is not a word that I like to use, but I think that you should give yourself some credit for your abilities. And like, you never needed me to make this much of an impact. You can do this all on your own. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, just before I get into the rest of the material, is please, if you have any questions, I love answering your questions and things like that, but this one is a touchy subject. It's probably going to turn some heads that don't want to really look into this kind of stuff, and they may want to try to disrupt certain things. This is now at the 8-minute mark. Let them know, anybody asking, if I ever met Jeff, let's get this out of the way now. I met Jeff. It was somewhere in this October, November range. I want to say it was late October, and or sorry, September, October range. And it was, I want to say it was like in the later October times. And that was of 2014. And I was in Montreal, and both myself and Jeff individually went to Police State Radio's place, and we did a live stream together. I'm not sure if it's still up. I haven't looked it up, but I think I don't know why PSR would have taken that down if he did. So I'd say it's probably still there. You can prove for yourself. And yeah, I'll say the one thing with and I appreciate the appreciation for offering closure in regards to Jeff as Virtual Asylum, saying he was an imperfect person. Yes, he was. But certainly had a following, and these people wanted the truth, and this is very important. And I don't think that this is something that many of the heirs of his throne, or at least how they think of it, and I'll talk about what I mean by that. It's something that they'll never compare to, and that's something that I think, while I have my problems, and there's many that have their problems, I think that is something to bear in mind as we go. And I will continue to say that as we go ahead. The next thing I want to talk about is generally why we theorize as a community looking for truth. And this is really important because there's a lot of people, and there's been a lot of resources out there that has done their best to make you not ask questions that are not from the official narrative. And the official narrative doesn't necessarily have to be MSM. It could just be whomever wants to control information or loyalty, right? So the reason why we theorize about things, because I'm going to be speaking about the hospital visit that apparently um, Red Pill was doing. And I think that it was not as legitimate as he wants you to think. I don't know this for sure. Okay. So bear that in mind. What I need to do, though, what we all need to do is theorize as to why that could happen. And you can take it with a grain of salt. You can compare that to history. You can compare that to um, empirical data on research of what narcissism is. And you can make the decision for yourselves. I'm not telling you to believe exactly what I think. I think that's the biggest problem in this movement. And I want to talk about that now. I think a good analogy would maybe be a game of Battleship. Okay. For those who haven't played it, I doubt there's very little that have, but just to catch them up. It's like this grid system, and there's two people that play, and they have ships that are put in each, in different places. And you can't see where the other person placed their ships because there's a barrier between it, but it's done in a grid system. And you essentially, you're asking each person, you give them a point in their grid where you think that a ship that they've placed might be hidden. You're sending over the missiles or whatever, right? Now, when you start, you don't see anything on the other side. You can start marking where you've hit something and where you've missed something, but until you start calling out those spaces in the grid, you're never going to know whether or not the battleship or another ship was there. Okay, so if we go by the logic of we can't just theorize about things, right? You would be the worst battleship player in the world. It's like, well, I don't know that ship's there, therefore I can't really make any sort of call. Therefore, you go ahead and you take your next turn. That is the best way to lose a game of Battleship that I've ever heard. And sometimes these things do take a little bit of luck before you start seeing the truth. You have to do the calls before you start seeing the truth. And if you don't start making the calls, you never will. You never will, because these people, like that barrier, they are putting these things up to try and hide what the truth is behind their curtain or their barrier. So I really think that is important. Now, what do they do to try and manipulate you into not making those calls? Most times, the factor is shame. Okay, and fear of what happens if you take that step. They like to put that on you. They would like to call you, the trolls, the shills. You must be disgusting for wanting to look into these kind of things. So what that does, it stops you. It makes you doubt making the call. And I think that we need to start identifying for what that is and the different tactics, because at first it might work. What I'm seeing right now is a breakdown of people that are trying to control the legacy of Jeff, of like the calling of the shills and the trolls and stuff. It's starting to break. Okay. And some of them need to take the next level. And I think this is the case of Red Pill or Truth Media Films or whatever he wants to call himself these days. I think this is the case with him. It's my theory that this is the case with him. I'm going to at least make the call that this is a plausible theory. And I see a lot of reasons why it would. And I think that we should talk about the factional divide that is happening between people right now that are both laying claim to Jeff's throne, which I don't believe that throne should have ever existed. That metaphorical throne should have ever existed. But I do believe that there's enough evidence to see that they're both gunning for it. And what this reminds me of, I might have talked about this before. Back in the feudalistic days, it wasn't just like our own European feudalism, but in Islam, actually, this very thing happened in Granada, Andalusia, where when the Muslims had Spain, this actually is what broke the rest of Granada, was pretenders to a throne. So you had the king die, This is what basically this is how pretenders work. When a king dies, sometimes there isn't enough legitimacy to prove that, like say he didn't have a son or something like that, or whatever. There's a whole bunch of different reasons why they would lack legitimacy. So when they die, the successor is not clear. Okay, so what you get often is you have the legitimate heir in a way of that king, but then you would have a pretender, and the word is pretender itself. Like that's the actual term for this, and they pretend under pretense of saying that they are actually the rightful ruler of the throne. And often what they would do is they would fabricate pretenses, and this is why they're called pretenders. Like, did you ever hear like in France with Provence, they would have a claim to the throne because they would say that the Holy Grail is there, and because the throne is often tied to divine right, this would give them some legitimacy over the struggle for the throne. So they're fabricating things like that in order to gain legitimacy without really having to prove anything. Okay, and I think that's what's going on here. We have both sides being pretenders, laying claim to a throne that doesn't exist, and now you're starting to see the factional divide play out. Yeah, they both want to show that he's irreplaceable, right? And that adds the legitimacy, right? And when they talk about that stuff, when they pay the lip service, it ties it to them. Or in TMF's case, they just start naming all their channels after them. So when you look up the name Free Radio Revolution, you're bound to get this, right? Because Free Radio Films, Truth Media Revolution, when he had it then, like things like that, right? These are all pretenses in order to gain the same loyalty, in my opinion, anyways. And just bear in mind, this is a theory. I preface this with a theory. So, going to the hospital visit, what I believe happened is that he tried to pay his respects. He tried to hold on to information while he could think of a plan to use it to his benefit. People started calling it out, and he went into hiding. And then he made his own plan that he would roll out according to how the situation was going. And I think he miserably failed at that plan, to the point where people are now more suspicious of him. And what accelerated this are the fact that there are two different pretenders that are now fighting with each other. So I heard that he was called a skin wearer. And the ironic part of this is that it's true. It is true. He's trying to wear Jeff's skin, but so are the people that are saying it. Okay. So like they're projecting. It doesn't mean that it's false. It means that they are going for the same thing that he's doing, in my opinion. Okay. So when they called him a skin wearer, and he's having a lot of flack from people, he realizes that his plan failed and that he is now being overwhelmed with people that are either exposing him or seeing him for what he is. So you need to create a last-ditch effort to stop criticism of yourself. And what is one of the best ways to do that? It's to pretend injury. And if you pretend injury and someone attacks you or kicks you while you're down, theoretically, then they believe that they have legitimate casus belli to say that you are a disgusting troll or shill, when really nothing could be further from the truth. In my opinion, he's trying to lie to you, and he has false intentions, in my opinion. And he wants to project that onto you. He wants to make you think that you can't make these calls and you can't attack him during this time that he's hurt, lest you be a shameful person. And this is the last-ditch effort of narcissists that happen all too common. And I know I've talked about a lot of this last night, but I think this is really important. You'll even see that Jeff did the exact same thing to me. And you can even see in the live chat from last time that Chrissy Meow, or I think she changed her name to Miss Meow. She even confirmed that this was exactly what happened. Like, as soon as I made another video after he said he was in the hospital, he immediately, hours later, came out with a video saying that I was attacking him when he's down. I think this is exactly what that video of Red Pill crying in a hospital was about. It was to make him look as sympathy inducing as possible. And I think you guys know that, or I think many people suspect this, and what he's relying on is for you not to call these things out. I have a feeling if enough people start talking about these things, that you will see exactly what I'm talking about. He's going to come out and say that you were trying to kick me when he's down. And this is a decent tactic in ways, and it's an effective tactic because it can work if he has enough people still on his side to induce the emotion that this is shameful behavior. What happens is he starts to triangulate this. Triangulation being in the psychological sense, when a narcissist realizes that he can't control his target, he then, like when that person starts, they start realizing he is who he is, they start doing last-ditch efforts. In real life, how it's been since before, like the internet and things like that, what would usually happen, like let's say that you got a narcissist in your family or something like that, and you just basically criticize that narcissist and you're not standing down. What they'll do, it's usually the first thing that they do, is they go straight to a family member that they know and they say, I'm really worried about this person who just criticized, and then they'll act like it's all good, all fine, and or like they're okay, but they're really worried about this person, and they'll set it up in such a way that they're sick or something like that. So they'll still lose credibility, but they still look good. That's the most important thing, right? And what this causes you to do, or what this causes this person that's being triangulated to do, is to, by third party, try and convince the narcissist target to do what the narcissist wants. Okay, and this is called triangulation. And the term, I always like this term. It's a little bit goofy. The name of the person, or the term for the person that goes to the narcissist target on behalf of the narcissist, is called a flying monkey. Okay, and what I think is going on, you can look that up. It's a legit psychological term. I don't know if there is a more scientific sounding version of it, but I stuck with that one because it makes perfect sense. He's trying to send all the flying monkeys on anybody that's criticizing him because he cannot handle the sustained criticism. He failed in his efforts to stop that criticism in its tracks. And this, to my belief, is his next step. Fake an injury, say that anybody that would attack him is shameful, and it makes you want to go and attack. And yeah, we're going to get some thumbs down, and that's okay. Don't you worry about that. I totally expected that to happen. So yeah, I gotta say, I will say this, I couldn't find the video today. I think someone had sent the link yesterday, and because I was on live stream, I couldn't see it, but I couldn't see the video today. I had a feeling that enough people called that out for what it is. And you will, you'll probably see the next step saying that I was in the hospital and you hurt me, right? But the video itself is a bit sketchy from what I've heard. Like the crying that was in the Rip Jeff C video, it's the same kind of thing, right? So this is what I have here for today. Do not let these people shame you, okay? Doesn't mean that you have to be disrespectful. There's a difference between being disrespectful and being an enabler. If you ignore all these things because you're afraid of being shamed, inadvertently, you may be enabling this behavior to happen again. If it works, he'll become emboldened to use that as a tactic in the future. And you will see, it'll prove itself if I'm right. I think that the information will speak for itself, and you'll see that play out as it is. My predictions would be that the faction, the inner circle versus TMV or TMF, from what I see, they are going to turn against each other at an increasing pace. until one faction is gone. Personally, I think Red Pill will be the one that is gone after it's all said and done, or at least he has lost this battle. Or he might just ignore it all. You know, you never know. But this is my prediction. Once that faction is over, you're going to start getting internal splitting in the inner circle of Jeff before he passed. Most likely, it will be the splitting of KJ and the rest of them, because KJ will be the most obvious example of someone of doing the same things as TMF is. I heard they both had these same kind of crying videos, the lifting up and never be replaced. And these are the natural course of events to be able to pretend the throne, to be able to keep the legitimacy while transferring it onto you. And like I said last time, nobody calls here until I do these live streams. Actually, this is actually a pretty good cue, because I just hold your comments. I promise we'll do it. And while I figure this out, we'll take a little break because it is a smaller room. Hold on. So I don't want to give anyone's messages away. So yeah, what I'll do, take a quick break. You guys go. If you have any questions, I'll be right back. And maybe think over the stuff that I was talking about there. And yes, there were certainly going to be thumbs down on this one. I certainly suspected this, certainly. And it's probably like this is going to accelerate tension. And it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm perfectly fine. I don't have much to lose here, guys. You know, it's them that have something to lose, not me. So that's what they're not taking into account, or can't take into account, because they probably can't put themselves in another person's shoes. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Although, if you want this to get to more people, I really appreciate it. If you would like, as it does start to snowball things, you can see it in the analytics. And in order to put pressure on these people, it needs to be in such a way that it can't be ignored anymore. And even better than a like, cover the topic yourself. Don't worry about me. So I'm going to take a little break. And then I'd like to keep it under 2 hours this time. I really want, so that, you know, the non-live chat is able to discuss things. And if you have any, whatever you guys want to talk about today, I'm totally down for it. Okay. So get comfy if you'd like. And I appreciate those that can't stick around, but they want to hear the information for today. And I'll come back and we'll have a chat. All right. Item 3. I'll double check if there's a third. I do see a second one, but not good. There's one other one.
Someone maybe in the thing? Yeah. Charger?
I'll put it in the charger. Just a second. Sorry, just a sec, guys.
saw that very large number next to our champion, almost $65,000 in just 2 days. I'll tell you, as a lifelong fan of Jeffrey, I thought, this is how I like to see the game play. Well done. And good luck. The right listeners down the gym, but it can happen for you as well. Let's get started. Here's the Jeopardy round. These are the 6 categories. We'll start off with positive, followed by historically bad, then we horrific, communication, some 2-letter lists, finally, the best of times. Which is where you like to start. This scary book mostly takes place in their day. But what's it? See what it's talking about for tomorrow. In 1932 or 33, Stalin decimated Ukraine by exploring most of its grain, bringing only a local or grain to this. There's some big family, right? During the French Revolution, thousands, including Louis XVI, had the misfortune of eating this, also known as the Louis F. Was the 18th trying to perform the talk about how large sisters she wants to be right. This Joe? Yes, you're on the one. Serving a position of Jews and editors in the 1958 London novel. Right. Who is Dr. No? No, that's correct. No, it's the right answer. I didn't mean to mistake. Correct, so I did. Thank you. Let's talk about that for 600. Answer there is what's it about? For $1,000 here's the clue. This began in Latin America in 1928. United States. That is correct.
All right. I'm back. I'm back. And before we start any chats or questions or anything like that, and please go ahead and put them through there now. I am taking a look at the very least, so I'll be able to catch them. I can't stress enough the importance of what it is to not let them shame you into stopping to ask questions. The reason why they are trying to shame you is not because you are without substance, but that you're right on the target. Okay? This is the only reason why they would want to stop. Because here's the example. You don't have to take my word for it. Strongly believe that I'm telling the truth. I have nothing to hide. I don't have a problem with you guys asking me questions about me. In fact, I want you to doubt me. Okay? When I tell you that I met Jeff, I want you to doubt me. I think it's a good question to ask. Did I really meet Jeff? And certainly, before the release of his obituary, that was a very, very good question. Okay? And it still is, don't get me wrong, okay? But what they want you to focus on is me, okay? And what I could be, or could I be a liar, all right? What they don't realize is that the more you ask questions, the more this snowballs, okay? If I try and shut you down when you ask me if I met Jeff or not, then it's going to lend credence to that theory. If I'm telling the truth, I don't mind it. They have been trying to hide every step of this from you. And until the obituary, my claim that I've met him, it certainly mattered. At this point, and you can still ask all the questions and I will answer them as honestly as I possibly can, but you don't even need to ask me that question. The reason being is now you can verify it for yourself. Those pictures on the obituary, the call to the funeral home, hopefully one can record it. I can't at the moment, so that not as many people need to call, but you can now corroborate this all on your own. You don't need this. You don't need me to, you don't need to take my word for it. In fact, I encourage you that you don't take my word for it. You can now verify for yourself who he was and what he did. So bring on those questions. I'm not afraid of them. You have to ask yourself, why are they afraid of them? Why are they afraid of questions? Why are they afraid of criticism? Why are they afraid of, or why are they trying to shame you into saying that you're disgusting, a shill, a troll every time that you try and ask a question? They might ban you from their chat circles and things like that. Aside from the most egregious and irrelevant comments, we don't do any banning here. So just bear that in mind. All right, so let's get into the comments. Just one second. I'm going to scroll up to make sure I didn't miss any. Might buffer, but give it a moment. Yeah, and if you have questions, make sure to put in the @Avidon, and that way it's highlighted on my side, and I'll be able to see it. I'm going to read this out, even though it's not a question. Only positive thing about growing up in a narcissist household and abusive narc relationships is becoming aware of these demons and educating yourself to know their game. Yes, absolutely. Once you start knowing the game, it becomes very obvious. When someone told me about the hospital, it didn't take long for me to click in that this is exactly what I saw with Jeff when I called him out for the same kind of things. Okay, and again, I'm not trying to bash Jeff. I'm just saying that this is a very noticeable pattern. And you'll see it every time. You'll see it every time. When all else fails, they fake an injury because they are actually undergoing narcissistic injury and they need to do anything to stop it. One other thing, listen, if you have examples of how you were in their Discord or discussions with these inner circle types and they're shaming you, if you want your story to be heard, type it in now. And I'll do my best to be able to read them out. And because I think these people and their tactics should be exposed. Okay, obviously, take things with a grain of salt. We don't know who's making the claims or whatnot, but after you start hearing these stories, after you're able to tell each other these stories, I got a feeling you're going to start seeing patterns, and things will start making even more sense than what it was before. Hope the kitty as well. That's sweet. Yeah, I think he's doing okay. He's right here right now. Actually, hold on. Let me see if I can show the buddy. He's a little bit sooky today. Oh, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, he's being a sook. So yeah, he has I don't know what's going on here. I think it's very possible it's because I switched food, but he's got a bit of a bloated belly. I called the vet today, and they said that with the information I gave them, they said that there's not too much of a worry. So yeah, for those that are worried, that is, he should be okay because he's still being a lovable little dude, and he's even playful, and he's eating and all that stuff. So don't worry about him too much. I'll make sure that he's taken care of. So, someone asked me if I'm the same as Avidon Rev. I'm going to guess no, because I'm not quite sure to what you're referring, to that which you are referring. So, oh, someone went by Avidon Rev. No, it's not me. This is my. I do have like a secondary Ottawa Expositor account that I haven't been on in ages, but I'm never on that. I never comment on that. You're only going to see me on this. If I let you know if I make another channel, I promise. I will. Not so concerned if you're asking me what were they trying to do. I'm not 100% sure to what you're referring. So if you could repeat, that'd be great. If it's not about me, that's cool too. Oh, I do see. Yes, it is Avidon. I'd seen the same with Jeff in the past many times as well. Yeah, it's pathological. They can't help it. And you got to bear that in mind. Okay, like listen, I'm not here to tell you to hate on red pill. I'm here to kind of walk through the logic of what's most likely happening here. Bear in mind that these people can't help that. Okay, it may be the what one would perceive as the embodiment of evil, but you have to bear in mind that these people are tortured souls. Regular people don't do these kind of things, and I would say the vast majority of people, including narcissists, don't get out of bed and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do some evil stuff today. I'm going to lie in order to gain for selfish profit. No, they rationalize that process. And that's how they become who they are. You got to bear that in mind. You can't hate these people. You have to love them even. Like you do. You have to bear in mind. And if you don't love them, your message is not going to be effective. It's going to be one of hate, and it's going to be one that's quite obvious that you're not here to help anyone. This one's sick. First they lie to you. Scripture Unbroken says first they lie to you, and then they lie about you. Then they try to kill you. Synopsis of John 7. Boom. Absolutely. They play this game, you call them out on your game, and they need to shut it down by any way possible. And to be quite honest, with narcissists, it's not so much that they are completely without empathy. It's the fact that it turns off completely once someone goes against them, and they can't help this, right? So they start rationalizing things that most people could never think of. Most people could never think of doing this in order to stop their opponents. So yeah, it's very correct. Very correct. Just 1 second. I'm going to buffer to scroll back down. And yes, this is the world's cutest cat, man. This dude ripped my heart out of. He melted my heart the second I saw him. You should have saw this little dude. He was like that big when I saw him. He was 8 weeks old. He should have been twice his size. He was so tiny. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Cat's dope. All right. So China just posted a video of him driving to Jeff C's house to show that the home is in darkness. Okay. I have no comment on that. I do, by the way, I have seen a few videos by China 3, and the one specifically on the 11th of January was spot on. I don't know him well, so I mean, I don't know his intent, but from what I saw there was he's looked pretty real to me. But again, don't take my word for it. Nacho Concern. Are they trying to take over his subs, his content and channel? Are they trying to control a narrative? It just seems odd the way it was handled. To a certain extent, yes, to all. And they're both trying to do it, right? So the memorial, from what I've heard, is to try to upload the entirety of Jeff's work. Okay. So that's someone taking control of his content. It's not necessarily his channel. I don't think they're trying to gain access to his like literal channel. What they're trying to do is channel and filter all this loyalty to them. And the friction starts when both factions start seeing each other do it. And this is what you're seeing play out right now. These are resources, the subs, content. If they could get the channel, they would, but I don't think that's possible. The narrative, these are all resources via information. And information, one would argue, is more important than any money. They're fighting over these resources, and you're seeing a little war take place, I guess. Little mini information war. I do think, I mean, it's obvious that they're both trying to control the narrative. And this is where you see them actually work together to call you all shills or trolls or disgusting. They're all doing that. But on the inside, they're eating each other up. That should clarify a lot of things. Just 1 sec, if you mind just holding it, because I don't want to miss anything. I know that there were some really good questions, as always, to be honest. So What's the kitty's name? His name is Shinobi, but I just call him Boobers. Because Shinobi's, they, I think they're supposed to be ninja, but I'm pretty sure Shinobis are somewhat tough as well. And this guy's not so tough. So I've never gotten to call him that really, unless it's like, I'm going to the vet or something. But Boobers is the name I give him. It's ridiculous. The higher up in Discord seems somewhat fake and sketchy whenever I chat with him, especially Rumsford. Well, I mean, I don't know the motives of most of the individual people, but yes, it's obvious that like they corralled you into the Discord, and the natural way that Discord works is that you can set up all these ranks and all these permissions and things like that. So it becomes a very easy way to disrupt any free flow of information. It's inherently built in that would end up happening, especially if you have some grifters up at the top. With Twit, if I missed your question, please repost it. Anybody that I missed a question just then, I am now up to date, at least what I think. So if I miss a question, please ask again. I'm not trying to ignore you. Make sure that you put in @Avidon and I'll see it. Stupid children fighting over the inheritance. Exactly. We got two pretenders, or two factions of pretenders, and they want the throne for themselves. Is essentially what it is. And it is a shame people act this way. As Maverick Music is saying, it's like bickering family members battling over someone's possessions when they pass. Yeah, and I think like this is basically what it is. It really is like a less immediate version of that, I guess. I don't know if the family's interested in Jeff's work. From what I see, they seem to be trying to focus on other things aside from his work on the internet. So I don't know, but I can deduce that they're probably not a threat to this stuff. And therefore, it creates this power vacuum. And if they know that they're not going to be bothering the family, then this is what they'll do. Or they don't care that they're bothering the family. And considering how the family didn't need to be involved to identify them, that whole shot on hurting the family could all be projection. It could all just be them maybe scamming the family. But I don't know. I don't know. And what I would recommend is praying for that family, as I'm sure there's all sorts of problems going on. Like I said, he probably didn't have a will, and that causes a lot of problem in the courts from what I've heard. I haven't looked into how that works, but I'm only assuming that there's, that's business that needs to be finished, and it's probably very stressful for them. So I do recommend not adding on to that, because these factions very well could be. I don't know. I just don't know. Am I saying that Jeff has departed from this world? I'm saying that I have, after calling the funeral home and confirming that there's an account there, I think that specifically, and when I'm seeing an automatic response from a family member upon contact saying that there has been a family emergency and they can't get back, I'm seeing the totality of the evidence there to be that he has indeed passed. I think you can be very confident now knowing that this is the case. He's most likely gone. And like, let's try and remember him for what we believe he stood for, or what many people believe he stood for. We need to call out authorities. And he has now been released. He's not torturing, he's not self-tortured. Although, I don't know if he was saved, and it's not my place to judge, but yeah. All right. I think that is. Do you guys have any more questions? Do you guys want to chat about anything else? Did I miss anything? We'll do a last call because if I can get this under an hour, this stuff is good. The shorter it gets, the more people that see it, you know. So if you're not in a chat mood today, that's okay. Jesus is Lord and Savior, otherwise known as Jills. I just hope that he was saved. I feel he wasn't, which is sad. I don't think that necessarily saying God bless is a sign of him being saved, but one that wishes discord with or companion or like one that wishes a link with those that are Christian. I think that that is possibly the case. You got to be careful with that stuff. I mean, Jesus himself said that, you know, they pay me service with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. So you can't go by the little things. I don't know if Christiane Oliveira says, thank you, Avidan, for love for giving Jets fans much closure. It is my hope that the things that I've done have accelerated the process of you guys getting closure. I'm not sure if that was the case. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. But what's important is not who gave the closure, but that the closure is happening. Rick V says, and it's good to see you, by the way, Rick. I enjoyed our conversations in the past, and I look forward to them in the future. Rip Jeff C. He had some great moments. He suffered. He did a lot for the truther movement. Regardless of how people thought of him, he worked hard and uncovered a lot of truth. Yes. I will never debate any of those things. We need to be able to see the good in people. And even if you thought the man was a devil, which I don't, you have to give the devil his due. I think that the best thing that we can start doing now is break through to the public like he broke through to us. I think that this would be the best way to pay tribute to him. So we have a lot going on in this world, and they want to, just like what's going on in the inside, it's happening on the outside. They want to control a narrative. And I do think that they're trying to stop you from, I guess, making headways into that, to break through to the public. So they want to make you feel hopeless in every single way possible. But you guys are the best chance. You guys are the best chance. You are the most devoted to searching for things. No matter how many times you've been psyoped, you can't stop looking. I've seen, these are all the same faces. Almost all of these people, right? They've been here, they've taken all the hits, and they're not going to stop. And I think that there are ways that you can now break into the public due to the fact that the mainstream narrative has lost so much credibility. Do you guys have local talk stations on your radio stations, things like that, that break through to the boomers, specifically the boomers? Because I'm watching TV right now with a boomer. Not right now, but I've been watching it recently, and on TV you're not seeing the same things that you would see on Twitter, like kill all white men, in Minecraft YouTube. Like you're not seeing these things on the TV. In fact, do you remember, like, what's his name? Anthony Anderson? He's the one that was like, he basically took the Golden Globes to berate Jimmy Kimmel over being white and all this stuff. I'll give you a good example of this right now, because he was on a game show, and he's actually the host of a game show now. This Anthony Anderson guy, and you know, he seemed super cool on that show. You know what I mean? And I was like, you know what? Let me show you another video of this there, Mr. Boomer. And I showed him the video of him basically berating all white people for the sake of propping up what he believes to be his own people. And that red pilled this person pretty well. Like, he was just like, what I just saw right there was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. And I cannot believe that this guy is on TV. and he no longer watches this anymore. They may not realize that it's basically everywhere you look, but there's a chance to break through to them. It's just that they're controlling the narrative for the boomer media. And one of the best ways to do that is to go straight to their boomer media, and talk radio is a great thing to do that. I would call up, say, you know what, the narrative you're putting on the Koof Koof, I wouldn't trust it, you know? And if they try and shame you like these people on the inside are doing here, right? Ask them this, ask them this. Name one thing that the authorities got right on January and February. Remember when they were saying it's just a flu, bro? And you get your shots, you know, like things like that. You're a conspiracy theorist. You're a racist if you say anything about China. You know, all this stuff that they were talking about. Just hit him with that. Hit him with that. Name one time that you guys were correct in January and February. Like one time. Just one time. And I'm pretty sure you're going to get a lack of a response, or something that's easily shot down. And start talking about, why was Bruce Aylward, who was one of the main guys of the WHO, why was he unable to talk about Taiwan? Things like that. Show them the videos, like to the people around you. Show them videos of that guy too, unable to talk about Taiwan. Why wouldn't you be able to talk about Taiwan? And their excuse is that the WHO organization has set so that Taiwan is not a part of it. And you can't talk about it. Well, why is that? Who's behind the WHO that we can't talk about a legitimate country? Why would they want to do that? And the answer is that China wants Taiwan, and they call it a province. If you speak to any CCP guy, they're going to tell you it's a province of China and not its own place. And these things break through to people. And the boomers too, they know about communism, but these people don't call themselves commies. Commies rarely call themselves commies. They usually call themselves like democratic social warriors or something like that. I mean, if you go back to the Cuba days, right? They denied calling themselves socialists. It was about democrat or democracy. And then in 1950, or I think it was June of 1950, I'm not 100% sure, they took away the right to private property. So it was super democratic, I'm sure, you know. Well, I guess in a way it could, because if the majority votes for that, then it is democratic. I don't think democracy is really much better than communism. I think there's a reason why they want to get you from away from the terms constitutional republic, and then up here in Canada, constitutional monarchy. They don't want you to believe that there's set rules and laws that we have to live by if we want to pass more laws. And they got to be really sneaky about it. But you are the bridge builders. Sorry, that's a Masonic term. I'm sorry. I was trying to make an analogy. You are the ones that can make the connection between the evil that's going on in this world and the things that don't add up to a boomer if they really think about it. Okay? Disregard the bridge builder thing, please. I'm sure I'm going to get a bit of flack for that. But I'm just going to go through, make sure. Oh no, Rick, man, I'm sorry you lost your followers. Yeah, they're brutal. Anytime that you become a threat, they're going to put you down. So that's it. That's it, man. Take that as a badge of honor. You rocked it so much that you made Jack Dorsey pee himself. Let me just double check anything. Miss anything, and I'll be right back down. Well, it may be a coincidence, Maverick Music, that as soon as I got involved, it changed things. I hope that it made an effect. Let's put it that way. I think one of the issues is when you get in the truth communities, when you're hitting things on the head, it's easy to inflate your ego. And I think that's the problem with a lot of truthers that even have good intentions. They start believing that they can't be wrong, I guess. And it just goes downhill from there. So I'm not trying to dismiss your appreciation. I really appreciate everything that you guys have all done. You don't put this all on me. I could have been just the only one in here talking, you know, and nobody could have listened. It was you guys. If I had any effect whatsoever, it was only because of you guys. You being leaders of your own selves and your free will to ask these questions. And I hope that continues. You guys be your own leaders and you figure out How to break through to the NAMIs. The NAMIs is twoofers. Someone, I can't go right back up, but someone mentioned 1984, and I will say, if you have not read 1984 or watched the movie, specifically the one from the 70s, I really like that one. But the 50s version or whatever that one was, that was good too. That was actually closer to the book, but the 1984 version of 1984, in my opinion, although it wasn't as directly it wasn't as verbatim as the 50s version, it was much better at giving a visual representation of how dreary a world would be if we let Gloatsies and the CCP take power. It was not fiction, it was a warning. And I know that that's cliche, but you can't say it enough. I know that 1984 is cliche, and that if you haven't read it, you've probably heard it enough that you get the gist of what's going on. But there's specific things in it too that I highly recommend you look into, because, like for example, O'Brien fakes being part of a resistance, okay, and he even gives truth to Winston, who is asking questions. Right? Remember when he said, "I got a better dictionary for you. You're not on the updated dictionary. Let me get you another one." And he gets the dictionary from O'Brien, who was like a higher up, right? And Winston would be, an evolved version of Prestifa nowadays. And he was questioning the things around him, and someone picked up on that and pretended to be the resistance to entrap him. What he did by doing this is by giving him a little bit of extra truth. In between the pages, he rips it open and he starts seeing how to conduct what's called oligarchical collectivism. And it makes perfect sense what's going on now with all the big tech, with all the, the Nikes and the biggest companies in the world supporting ridiculous commie horse crap, for lack of a better word. There's a reason for this. They are collectivists. They are not capitalists, these guys. They want to control each economy that they are in. And so this is a nugget of truth that you can see. And he never would have gotten it had it not been for O'Brien. So he trusted that person, right? He trusted O'Brien. Now, what did O'Brien end up doing? He was the one that ended up taking him through Room 101. I think this should be a very big warning to this truth movement. I think it's an extremely important one. This is, if there's one that you might take from the book, it would be this for you guys. So yeah, definitely read it. Let me see if I have missed anything. I'm gonna read this one out because it's kind of cool. Actually, let me just double check. Christian de Oliveira says, when COVID started, I took it seriously. February stocked up on food mass. It is a great point, and I'd like to talk a little bit more about this. But it was around May or June after the death of George Floyd, the same politicians, doctors, nurses that told us COVID was deadly, then told us that more important, one sec. They then told us it was more important for people to go out and protest by social causes. Then again, in late fall, when the flu cases were 98% gone in contrast to the previous year, it's like, come on, wishing people would wake up. And it's a, here's my theory on this. They played a swapception on you, okay? So the mainstream was saying it's just a flu, bro, whereas the right wingers, the ones with, like, the extra information, the ones that don't believe the mainstream, they go to alternative sources to get their information, which was flooded with warnings about COVID. And I think that this was intentional. I think this was meant to make both sides feel stupid about believing the narrative but they can't admit it to themselves. There's a sense of shame that stops them from doing that. And then when the swap happened, basically in middle of March, the same people over here saying, just a flu, bro, get your shot, they started freaking out. And because they can't deal with the shame of being possibly lied to or whatever, they don't understand what's going on, they don't want to admit they've been fooled, they start becoming the thought police. Wear your mask. They don't even need the authorities anymore, really. Like they're so driven by being stuck on this issue now that they need to project, I think, that they were wrong. And I think the other side is like that too. They were like, oh, dang it, man. I was looking at all those hospitals in China with like 100 heads, or sorry, 1,000 heads peeping through the hall. And you're just like, this is pandemonium that you saw. That could have been fabricated as well to fool us. And then we're like, oh my goodness, we've been fooled. This is just a flu, bro. Even though we were like, this is the craziest thing ever. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that's what's going on there. I think there was a mass-induced psychosis that took place, and it's still overtaking many people. And on top of that, it causes divide. And I think if what I'm thinking is the case, it was a brilliant plan, and it worked very well. Hospitals are so overwhelmed that yet the nurses have ample time to make TikTok videos. I know, man. I know it's been done, but those TikTok nurses, dude, this is the next level of selfie narcissism. And it's very, it's the same thing that you see in China. This is obvious Chinese propaganda. You also see like they now push the narrative of how well China handled this and how we should be more teamwork like China. Listen, let me tell you something about China, okay? Oh, I can close the door because I'm getting a little bit animated. I was talking about this in chat earlier, or yesterday in the bunker chat. I worked with CCP. I did work with CCP nationals at like one of their front groups that I didn't understand that it was a front group. It was a restaurant, right? What you start realizing is that they're all just pushing you with propaganda, and they want you. They are constantly pushing at you that China is the best, that America and the Western world is a terrible culture and you need to pick up the Chinese culture. They all work together for a common goal. And then you see like someone that they know who's Chinese, but not part of their clique or whatever. And they are the most distrustful of these people. You will never see non-Chinese people be so distrustful. Like it's crazy how someone's been fooled, a nation has been fooled into thinking that they're so together and stuff when they really don't do anything for each other. If you go to a good channel that talks about this, there was a video on this, Serpent ZA and Lao Y86. These guys, they work together and they used to live in China, and they talk about their times in there. And when they were in there, they were kind of like positive about it so they didn't get hurt. But when they left, they started speaking out. And yeah, they know that this is how it works. The biggest thing that I saw from them is how they mention that they don't help each other. Like you could literally watch someone get robbed on the street. Hundreds of people are there and they do nothing. Like you could see that happen. And in fact, there's been channels that kind of test that. The same thing doesn't happen in Taiwan. The same thing doesn't happen in Hong Kong. Like these people are much nicer, right? Because they don't have this collectivist mentality that's been forced upon them, this forced narrative where they just distrust everybody around them, yet they have to say that they all work together, which they, in a way, they kind of do, but they all hate each other at the same time. Like, can you imagine what that does to a person? And this is what they're trying to do to the masses here. It's very, very sucks. I certainly hope it fails. People dying in the streets in China over COVID last March was definitely staged. Yeah, I think it's super easy to fabricate it. I'm pretty sure most of those videos of them falling, they were like PLA soldiers anyway. So, if they don't do what she tells them to do, he'll just press that little button in their helmet that kills them. I mean, like, isn't that like, if you've ever watched Star Trek DS9, isn't that exactly what the Dominion does to the Jem'Hadar, their soldier class, right? Like they get them addicted to dope or whatever, and if they get out of line, they're just zapped out of existence. It's just crazy, crazy stuff, man. My head's gonna spin off. No, I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm good. I'm just gonna do quick check. We are experiencing the real version of 1984. You bet, baby. You bet. You bet. I'm very grateful that I read that at a very young age, somewhere around 12 or 13. I did a book report on it, but I never thought it would happen. I thought it was like, sci-fi, but it's not. This was the plan, and he was warning us. China is a crazy place now. They're only allowed to walk in pairs, like Mormons, and you know why they do that, right? Mormons do it because that time during their mission, they're very young, they're impressionable, they want to be free, and that needs to have something in place to stop that. So what they do, they have a buddy system, and if one gets out of line, you're rewarded if you rat on that person. And the same thing is the case in China. The same thing is starting to happen here with the call against, or like the COVID rat line, or whatever you want to call it. That thing should be shamed and absolutely, what do you call it? You should basically do whatever you can to jam those. In Minecraft, YouTube. Uh, what do you think of the rumor that eventually your fingerprint will be required to access the internet? Yeah, maybe. I mean, it kind of already is. I mean, yeah, you can get VPNs and stuff like that, but like, do you notice like when they started talking about bullying back in around 2010, 2011, like cyberbullying, that was the first push by the elites to stop anonymity on the internet. Anonymity on the internet is very good for free thought, and it's terrible for those who want to control that. So the logical course of events would definitely lead me to believe that, yeah, you're bang on with that. Maybe there's like, it doesn't have to be a fingerprint, by the way. Like that right there could be a visual way to kind of throw you off, maybe, of what they want to do. So, but let's just say virtual fingerprint. It could be something else besides that, maybe ocular, or I don't know. Doesn't matter. But you're on the right track, nevertheless. Yeah, state issued digital ID. And I think that they've even started talking about that kind of stuff. The anti bullying campaign was ridiculous. I think that what we should have done is teach people that they don't need the internet to live. If you find that you're having trouble on the internet, shut it off. Go become anonymous again. They can't target you. And social media kind of stopped that for people. And I think social media was like the start of the end of it all, that they could just start, what do you call it? Here's the thing about Facebook that I heard. I haven't looked enough into it, but I've heard that there was a US government project right before the inception of Facebook that was like shut down the same month of Facebook, where it was trying to gather information about people as they connect with each other. And they had a site for that, and it was shut down. And then right after that was shut down, here comes Facebook. I don't know if anybody knows what that project is. I only read it once. It was about a month ago. I verified it, and that was the case. But do you know that, or sorry, like, we don't know that that is what occurred and that this was all like, you know what I mean? The inception of Facebook was a false flag. I do know that they made movies talking about the real truth behind Facebook. So that might also be a tip off that there's probably another real truth that they were trying to cover up. They make the Namis and maybe even the Twoofas believe that they were getting some sort of inside information when they were really trying to cover you up something else. Yeah, go outside, enjoy life. Absolutely. And I mean, I love the internet myself, but you don't need to be on social media. You really don't need to be on social media. That's what they want you to think. They're pushing for this in Germany. Yeah, I noticed that Germany's really clamping down, man. Really, I saw a few raids here and there and stuff like that. Most certainly. Most certainly. It's just a digital version used as a phone app, pretty much. Christian's not crazy yet. No, I don't think it's crazy. I mean, it doesn't need to be a fingerprint. I wouldn't dwell on the fingerprint itself. I would dwell on the idea that they want to remove any chance of anonymity. So, and they'll also try and get rid of sites that encourage it. So, like Poll or 4chan, like the message boards where you can just comment anonymously. Like they want to get rid of that at all costs because you can see how much resources is spent of them trying to infiltrate it and trying to, like whenever there's an information drop, you'll see like 20 people asking or like posting messages or sorry, posting, making posts, making threads about the most stupid stuff ever. And they're called slide threads. It's so that covers up any information that they try and get out. But even then, they can't control it, right? So all they can do is possibly diminish the amount of people that see it. So what they need to do now is get rid of it all. So yeah, I think we're gonna start to clue up. We'll do a little roundup because it doesn't have to be a 2-3 hour chat. That's actually quite good. I want to say hello to everybody that has been here and is just tuning in. We will make a few more minutes for any chats. If you have any questions, throw them out there. Let's get them out, and then we'll finish it off. The internet is great, but it's not a basic necessity of life. I've lived without it for the first half of my life. Absolutely. It's not required to survive. I'm thankful for having the internet since I was young, and being on it since I was young because I was able to look at so much information that I probably wouldn't have been able to access without it. But it's not necessary. Everybody has access. Well, not everybody has access, but we have a Bible. Yeah, always throw your questions out there. You know, it's good. Claude Patrick, why does it say RIP? Because I think that we can now verify that he has passed. I think the funeral home basically answers the question. Okay, yes. Dang it. I had this little notepad of stuff, and I forgot about the obituary because I forgot about last time too when I was talking about it. That seems sketchy to me. The obituary I never considered the obituary proof of passing. Never. Because of COVID rules, you can maybe bypass death certificates. From what I heard when I was talking to the funeral homes and stuff like that, and they say it's extremely weird that there is no funeral home listed, even if it was already passed. It's how the industry uses to verify things so that they can call and confirm that place, right? Death certificates can take longer, and therefore sometimes they don't use it because they need to access things quicker. So they said that it was very weird that that the funeral home was not on the obituary. This suggests that who wrote the obituary, who passed it in, they didn't want you to see that. Now, that could have been from the family, but I am also getting reports, especially from, I'll give you one example, because I have heard many people were saying that their comments have been deleted off the obituary. Run to Christ mentioned this on my channel. And if there's one guy I can vouch for, I think this is the guy. This is I believe that he's about as legitimate as it gets. I would be extremely surprised if he said anything that was disrespectful, or even specific to conspiracy theory, or basically any legitimate reason to delete the comments other than "thank you for showing me the truth." I think the comment he left was on my video from 2 days ago. I can't get it right now, but he's, yeah, like this guy's legit, and he's been kicked off everywhere, so that could add to his legitimacy. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he said that he had his internet taken from, like, he's not able to go on the internet through his ID. He lives in the UK. I don't know if that's like some authoritarian thing. I don't know what's going on there. But he finds it hard enough to get on the internet. So the poor guy goes to the obituary, leaves his condolences, and yeah, it wasn't approved. So I'm not saying, is it? It could be. I can't prove that it's not. I can't prove that it is an obituary that was not done by the family or other immediate friends. I can't prove it just yet. Maybe that John Canada guy that I was talking to, maybe he'd be able to help with that. But I'm seeing that that obituary is not cogent with basically any other obituary ever. There are special circumstances in this situation, because there is the worry that people will be inundated with calls. So I understand that. That is a plausible explanation for that. Are they using that against you? I don't know. I can't tell you. To do so would just be jumping the gun. And I don't want to scare anybody with that either. It's just something's weird with that. I'm not sure what leads are worthwhile to look into, in my opinion, but you guys do what you have to do. Used to watch Run to Christ. Does he still pump out videos? No, he's been kicked off YouTube. I tried to watch one of his videos on BitChute even, and I don't know if you noticed, if you're on BitChute, there's some channels that just won't load for me anyways. And like, I could watch that loading screen. I could go out, cook a dinner, come back, and that thing still hasn't loaded. And then I can just go to another video from a different channel and it loads immediately. And I try and go back to that same one, or any videos belong to that channel, it won't load for me. I don't usually log in to BitChute. That could be what that's about, but it still wouldn't explain why some are like that and not the others. And it has to do with a channel and not so much the video itself. I think that, yeah, I really wanted to watch. I think he's on there, and I wanted to watch this video because it was about the debate of whether or not Jesuits are infiltrated by the Marano group, or if Loyola was a crypto little hat, as they say. I personally see chance that it could be the case, but I don't think it is. And I think that he was also actually arguing against that being the case. And I really wanted to see his argument for that, but I couldn't, because he's censored over there. It's almost like a shadow banning of sorts. I don't know what's going on over there, but this poor guy can't get his message out, and he's probably one of the best YouTubers that were out there. So if you're in there, bro, my hat's off to you. You're a great man of God, in my opinion, and you've done a lot to expose some very important truths that most people are afraid to talk about for fear of losing their channel, or worse. Did I miss any comments directly to me, guys? We'll do one last call, and then I will finish this on up. I have a video. I have a vid showing the Pew Pew control agenda on BitChute that will not load or play anymore. Strange. Yeah. I mean, also too, you got to bear in mind, BitChute looks like it's from the beginning days of the internet. It looks like the coding is not exactly up to date. I don't know if that's true or not, but yeah, it does have some problems. I've heard that like uploading there and stuff is really hard sometimes. Like you just can't do it. So yeah, that could be it. Could be it. I think Gab's the place to go now. And there's a few new sites like Ugatube is good. Do they take down Rumble yet? I wasn't really the biggest fan of Rumble in the first place. I didn't really like its layout, but it did have some good stuff on there, and I'm not sure if it's still going. I haven't really been following too much of the censorship. I just know it's going down. We got some, what I believe, the 10 days of darkness, right? I was thinking, because you guys are gonna, I noticed, like I said, I mentioned about the Q thing, right? And I'm not convinced that it's a LARP. I can't prove that it's true, right? And I'm not trying to force you to say that it's true. And totally by no means. And I may not even argue that it is, because at the end of the day, you don't know. But I'm seeing like heavy shutting down of any talk of Q and the truth movement when these guys are talking about changing the narrative by faking events. I think I might do a video soon, basically challenging you guys to change my mind on you can't prove, like my statement will be of the debate, you cannot prove that Q is a LARP. I think that might be one of my next videos once we finish this this up. And I'd like to get it done soon, because if it's a LARP, if it's not, that will probably be revealed pretty soon. And I'd like to get it in there, my I guess some predictions or something. But we'll say that for another video. I don't know what you guys think about that. I think it would be interesting, because I'm seeing a lot of shutdown here, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm not seeing really strong arguments about it just yet. Maybe there are some. I'd like to hear them. But the ones I'm seeing here are usually shame-based comments to kind of make you feel bad if you listen to them. And usually when I see nothing but shame-based comments, like it's a LARP, you're a fool if you watch it or something like that, there's usually something there to look into. So that's, you know, I think it'll be a good show. Google Hangouts were awesome. I don't know if it still works even. I mean, they've basically taken anything that's good about YouTube and live streaming and Hangouts and stuff like that, and they've completely gotten rid of it. Like I can't even like create a video there. You know what I mean? All right, I think we're gonna clue this up. Tom is still waiting for folks to come back to MySpace. That's great. That's great. Just gonna do one more quick check, make sure I didn't miss anything, and I think we'll wrap. Ugh, I hear Biden talking out there. What's cranky creepy Joe talking about today? Yeah, Google, they'll do anything, basically shut down any free flow of information. Getting rid of Hangouts and stuff like that is better than that. I mean, like they can just create all tech to serve that purpose for them. They get rid of anything where you could have people they don't want getting together, and you can't like create videos and like edit videos like you could before. You can kind of like trim things down and stuff like that, but you can't, like I used to take like my intro and the main bulk of my video, and then like maybe an outro or something like that of the auto expositor when I was doing that stuff. And I would then I would make that one middle stuff and then put that up and use YouTube editor to put stuff on the end of the end and beginning. That's no longer the case. Can't do that anymore. It stinks. Yeah, method. Good old Hunter. The laptop from hell. In Minecraft YouTube. I don't know. That's some crazy stuff, man. That's some crazy, crazy stuff. And you know, it's not just him. It's not just him. Probably the only reason why it's skipped out maybe is that they want Biden gone and heels up in afterwards. Have I ever checked out Brax.me? No, I have never been on it. Unless like maybe someone linked something or whatever it is. Is it a video website? Hangouts are still working okay. Just no more YouTube live streams with it. Yeah, well, that's the only reason why I use Hangouts, to be honest. They're okay, but yeah, they probably didn't like this. You know what it probably was? It was probably the streaming. It was like the fact that you could share screen, because I can't, if I'm not mistaken, I can't share the screen now, unless I'm completely wrong. Or I just don't know where to find it, but I'm pretty sure you can't. I can't switch it back over. Brax says over 2K new subs last weekend. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I'll take a look into the new alt tech and things like that, and where you can start breaking out. I think you guys should do the same thing, because you can make these videos all you want, really, and like this will never be seen by normies, right? Like it's even worse than it was 6 years ago. The way the algorithms are, like you'll never, ever, 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 and like every video that's recommended after mine is going to be some mainstream one. It's really stupid. I have an app on my, or an extension ad on my browser called dmainstream, and you can even add webs like YouTube channels that they'll block. Like, so any mainstream media will get blocked in your search results. It'll get blocked in the sidebar where you have the other links, and it helps a lot. But even then, because you have no mainstream for them to recommend to you, they will basically shove the same video into your autoplay every single time for weeks, months. It's ridiculous. I am sick of autoplay to Jordan Peterson. I don't know why they're so obsessed with letting him speak, of all people. I find that suspicious in and of itself. Not that I'm trying to bash Jordan Peterson, because I just don't know, but I certainly find it quite interesting how YouTube really wants me to watch like 2 or 3 videos by them. Do you think Biden will be snipped after he's sworn in so that Harris can take over, provided that any of them get in power over on that side? Provided that's the case, yeah, I do. Nobody has any faith in Biden, not even the Democrats. They can't stand it. She just won't work. So they need the first, you know, and it's such a great chance, and it's such an easy sell. It's going to be like the first woman and the first person of color, well, not person of color, the first woman of color in history that will make it, and they'll laud that. It's a very easy transition after the theoretical transition to the Biden administration. I think it's really, really easy. It's a great last chess move, to the point where it's barely even a move. It would be like, you know, it would be like the Biden administration coming in, and then like you realize what's going to happen, and if it was a chess game, you would just surrender your king at that second last move. Who do I think will be Harris VP? Bernie Sanders. I don't think he's going to get labor. He's already proved enough that he's owned. It'll accelerate things to that oligarchical collectivism. Because, I mean, he can talk about millionaires and billionaires all they want, but now, I mean, these same people that were crying about millionaires and billionaires are basically begging the millionaires and billionaires to do their bidding for them. They love Nike now. They love all these big tech. That's what Occupy was, in my opinion. I think they were like, you know, this was to shame the big companies into doing their will for them. Not so much that they hated them. They had an agenda to get them to do what they wanted. Will George Soros, will he be the VP? I don't know. I'm going to say Bernie. I think Bernie is their one. Michelle Obama. 'Cause I mean, I think I'm surprised that Michelle Obama didn't run. Like, had this been a legitimate election, the only the only candidate I think that I would have been afraid of. Some people say Bernie Sanders, but no, I think he's already shown himself enough to be kind of like really weak. Um, is Michelle Obama? That was the one that had they chose her, I would have been like, oh, that's a really good narrative with lots of different things that they can pull. Yeah, that was the only one I would have really been afraid of. So my number one choice, Bernie Sanders. Number two, Michelle Obama. Let's see how it goes. Occupy Shield Street. That's exactly what it was. Because, well, I'll just let you know. Like, I mean, I was there at first, and like it was really popular at first, and then the mainstream clamped down on it and basically did a 180 on it and shamed it. And then when everybody let go, so like all the more moderate, because at first it wasn't really that left wing, guys. Like, not totally. It was more of a libertarian thing than, and more of a, we're sick of, banks controlling things. That honestly, both sides agree on that. They, like, the right doesn't want banks to be controlling policy. The left doesn't want banks to succeed in any way possible because they're not intelligent. So they have a common goal there, but it went left over time, and I think that was intentional. It was to separate the wheat from the chaff, except they wanted to keep the chaff. And then once they kept the chaff, after, I don't know, October or so of that time, you were just left with commies and anarcho groups. And that's when the radicalization process first slowly start to begin. I think that's what happened there in Occupy Shill Streets, because I actually was part of it. I was a bit of a commie back then too. I realized very quickly how stupid that stuff is just by looking at what went down there. But I stuck around because I was pulled into what I think was like a little bit of mind control, or I was just interested in seeing it. And it wasn't long before we started getting dragged into like all these different commie causes. Like, I remember going to the university, to a university professor that was part of this at the time. And I went there 2 times at least. And of these 2 times, the first topic was boycott, divest, and sanction, which is an anti-Zionist movement. And they basically want to get rid of Israel. Whether that's good or bad to you, I don't know, but they want to get rid of it. There was a clear one-sided agenda that I was being brought to, that most of these ISIS groups and things like that are a part of, if they haven't funded. And the other one was to replace our economy with a bartering system. Now, can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Or at least, like, replace much of our economy with a bargaining system. So I think that it was intentional from the get-go. Did I go to G20? No. I don't think I've ever been in like the major cities when G20 took place. I'm in like an island on the side. My haircut and a shave. Actually, I did do a little bit of a shave, but no, I'm okay. I'm okay. Thanks though, but I won't be shamed into compliance. It's okay. Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap this up. Why do you think Trump ordered the CIA to declassify information about aliens? I'll have to look into it, because I know that I know there's been a declassification of a lot of emails, and this happened maybe a couple hours before I was just preparing for this, and I still have to look into them. I think you guys should probably do the same thing. Maybe Pocahontas will be VP, Wasserman, or even Pelosi. I don't think it's going to be Pelosi. unless they want unrest. And I'm not just talking about like conservative unrest. I'm talking about like this is like the whole hair thing. She's not popular. Like she barely got her speaker seat back from her own party, right? So I would be, I don't think I would probably rule that one out. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, that's a possibility. She's a bit obscure, and she's certainly, from everything that I've seen on every list of targets by the CCP, I got a feeling they probably got to her a long time ago. And who was the other one that you had said? Pocahontas. Elizabeth Warren, maybe. She's passive. Yeah, maybe it's possible. Out of those three, I would probably put Pocahontas up with the Bernie Sanders and the Michelle Obama. Yeah, but this is just my opinion. You guys, theorize. This is the thing. We need to start theorizing again here. We need to start being able to allow every option on the table. There's those that stop at nothing to shame you into doing otherwise, or just seeing a black and white thing. One thing I'd recommend, if you guys haven't looked up logical fallacies, that was one of, I would get some of the best feedback from when I did those videos back in the day where I was like breaking down media logical fallacies. People really enjoyed that stuff, and I think that there's many people out there that aren't quite sure of how the media lies. Like they realize that there's some tactics going on, but they can't quite put their finger on it. But when you have the names of all these fallacies, for example, when there's a whole bunch of options out there on the table, and someone's trying to make you think that there's only two, the name of this fallacy is called a false dilemma or a false dichotomy. In layman, or in common terms, it would be a black and white fallacy. And this is the most common one that I've been seeing recently. And you can, if you have that in the back of your head, that this is not just, a tactic, but that it's a very common one. It's one of the most common fallacies. Once you start seeing it, you'll pick up on it much faster and you won't fall for it. And the same thing goes with a lot of the fallacies. Another one, ad hominem attack, right? Like, did I ever, like, for example, and I'm not trying to say that I've been being attacked, but like if they're saying like I didn't meet Jeff or things like that, it's instead of talking about the content at hand, they're talking about the person from which it comes, and that's what an ad hominem is. It's Latin for to the man. So instead of to the point, it's to the man. And if you have that in mind, the effect that it has on you, you can detect it much more and counteract against it. Yeah, Pete Santilli. I wouldn't trust him. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched too much of him, but I certainly got a bad vibe from when I was. So maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to just bash anybody I don't know, but I kind of believe you. Have you seen new CI logo? USA is missing from it. I smell NWO organization. I'm not sure what this organization you're speaking of. New CI logo. What's the name of the company? Just type down just the name of the company. Truth Over Unity. If I'm not mistaken, I have been able to get that up. I haven't been able to check it today because I was really busy on a whole bunch of other things, including this little kitty here I have with me. And just, I guess, general talk about what I was going to do for the show, things like that. So I didn't have a chance to double check, but look up WDIL Live and or WDIL Network, and I think maybe it's up now. I know it wasn't. I didn't know how to have access to it. Luckily enough, I had Chrissy around, and she was able to, if I'm not mistaken, she unprivated them because she had privated them at one point. That's what happened to them. I guess Chrissy didn't. She wanted to disinvolve herself from the movement, so she put it on private. I'm not trying to gossip or anything like that, but I think you do deserve answers on that. I didn't. It wasn't me that took that down, and I requested that they got put back up, and I think she did that. If not, I'll figure something out. Don't worry, I'll get them because I think they're really important to document what this was, what happened. Yeah, exactly. Right now would have been the perfect time. Like I was really hoping that at some point this would become important, and it was, and it really should have been out. I didn't even know that that was the case. Oh, gotcha. Okay. USA missing from it? Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're trying to replace all logos. And that stuff's really important to them. You'll notice and just look up the three stripes you'll see, and then look up the term three red banners. And you'll see those three stripes being put in like a whole bunch of different campaign logos and government agencies maybe. I haven't seen the new that organization. And by the way, who said that? Who asked that question? You should be able to say it if you have a wrench by your name, actually. It's all right. Unless you don't want to say it. That's okay. That's okay too. Pet goats. That's the second time today that I've heard someone say that. Did someone share that or something? Let me know where that coincidence took place. That'd be interesting to know. I was just speaking about this. If I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because, like, yeah, it does tell you extra truth from what you get, but first off, the name of the person who created it or the group that created it, Hierophant, is Greek for sun lover. So sun lover is a worshiper of Baal. Space Force logo, cube symbolism. Yeah, I mean, comes from the NASA logos. That's why the stars are the same. And NASA is not exactly the most trustworthy organization these days, at the very least. So yeah, you'll notice like the stars are a little bit weird, and it doesn't make sense. They're not up in the night sky, and there's probably a reason for that. And it's the exact same way that they have it on the old NASA logos. I loved how they were like crying with the Space Force stuff like that. Listen, I'm going to. I'll be quite honest. I am not going to endorse Enter the Stars though. Yeah. I mean, he's put out some good stuff, okay, but like just take things with a grain of salt. Some things are quite. At least back when I watched him, there was a lot of reach, and maybe he's improved. Maybe he's completely. Maybe he's completely done a 180, but a lot of cryptic stuff, and God doesn't work in confusion. God works in order, and I felt that channel tended to disrupt it. But I could be wrong. Just be careful. I mean, like the best liars will give you 95% truth, and that's what makes the 5%, those egregious lies, much harder to detect. A lot, yeah. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words on that. Okay, I'm not just going out there and trying to bash everybody. And but yeah, be careful. Just be careful. Like these guys, and I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of these big channels, you are the last thing on their mind. about telling, like, the truth is the last thing on their mind. It's, you gotta be careful. I think that we have had a problem with this pendulum effect where we don't believe the MSM, so we tend to possibly believe grifters a little bit too easily because we're like, well, they're calling out the MSM. It's like, well, maybe they are the MSM and they're pretending to call out the MSM as a common tactic. If you look up even Voltaire even mentioned that because he was in a Jesuit school, and I think he even mentioned when he was bashing the Jesuits, like, you can pretend to bash these people, and in the Jesuit oath they talk about you could even pretend to bash the people as long as what you're doing serves the benefit of the Vatican, or that for them is it's not the Vatican, but it's, well, it is now with Francis, but as long as it benefits them, they can lie, or they can even bash themselves. Yeah, be the Berean, test all things by the word of God. If you find that it goes against the word of God, then you know the difference. You know the difference of whether or not it's there. Again, I'll point out, I forget which passage it specifically is, but God states very, very clearly that God is not the author of confusion, but of order. And a great point by Jewel, Proverbs 23:23, a little leaven leavens the whole lump. It's sad that we're in a fallen world, but at the same time, we got to be able to divide, or rightly divide. 1:52:52 I'm seeing here now as for time, or for the length of the video. So I think we might do the wrap up. Anybody else have any questions? Last call. Last call. Last call. I think we're okay, huh? All right, guys. I will give you, actually, if someone, because I don't have it open, I'll end up just chopping out trying to do so. If someone wants to put the link into the bunker chat, I can post that up and pin it there for you. And in there is a chat where we chill out after. I usually take a break afterwards. I'm very sorry to those that went in. I wasn't able to spend as much time as I wanted afterwards, even though I had said that I'd be in there. And I'm really sorry about that. Something had come up and I just wasn't able to. But tonight, I'm totally free. I'm going to be back here. I'm just going to be chilling, going to be chatting on the chat. If you want to talk to me, you can. If you want to talk to the others that are there, there's some great people and some great discussions that go on in there. It's nice and quaint. It's nothing too crazy. And we don't ban anyone there. So you're going to get, and I try to make sure that no one's getting shamed, even if it is like even if the things that are being said are out there. Okay. The free flow of information is what I'm kind of aiming for in that chat specifically. So you get some fun stuff, man. I apparently I'm a shapeshifter. That was a fun time compared to, or sorry, according to someone that was in there once. So you get all these kind of, fun stuff. We get to discuss it. Nobody's opinion is wrong, or as long as you can give some evidence for it, man, and you're not trying to say that someone shouldn't think one way or another without some true evidence behind it. You're welcome to say whatever you like. Just within the law, the boundary of the law. Let's put it that way. I'm going to pin that link that you see there now. Go right on ahead. Just one sec, because I do know that there's a choppy. I think we're good. All right, guys. I will see you over there after a very short break on my behalf, or my part. And I want to wish you guys a good night. I want you to ponder on these things. Try and figure, you guys right now have a really good chance to expose the truth cults. And yeah, ponder what you can do to break truth to the people that don't know it. Guys, thank you so much. And thanks to everybody that was in the chat today. Thank you very much to the people who have been extremely helpful during this time. And I will see you on the next one. Time to empty the dishwasher. Yes. Hey, read your Bibles. Hey, read your Bibles.